All right, now let's see this SPLC funding and this corruption on Elon Musk and Charlie Kirk. Those two are self-avowed white supremacists. You have Elon Musk, who talked about white replacement theory and talks about the Boers in South Africa were the good guys, which is just straight white supremacy, considering it was a ethno-state establishment. And then you got Charlie Kirk, who got shot while talking about crime when it comes to black people shooting it out in their schools, trying to compare them to gun crimes or mass shooting crime, trying to compare them, saying they do more mass shootings than white people do, but the news covers only the white people instead of black people because it would make black people look bad. And his direct connection to the KKK and Atomwaffen, which are white supremacist extremist groups. So let's see what these white supremacists have to say about the civil rights funding the KKK, which I'm upset about. Me personally, I've infiltrated white supremacist groups and I never got a dime out of it. I would have loved to got paid. I ain't white. I ain't a white supremacist, but I promise you I would have done a great job because I always like to infiltrate these groups. I might make a video where I go out on undercover just to show you exactly what I get into sometimes for fun.
The SPLC was not dismantling these groups. It was instead manufacturing the extremism it purports to oppose by paying sources to stoke racial hatred. SPLC paid at least $3 million to 8 individuals at least. These individuals were affiliated with the Ku Klux Klan, United Klans of America, National Socialist Movement.
The Southern Poverty Law Center used the money they raised from their donor network to actually pay the leadership of these very groups.
It is one of the country's.
See, that's the issue with they raised it too as fundraising. Is why I always advocate for I think it's called lining or something, like where you show the entire budget and you show every single expense so you can see it. These people cannot outsmart the KKK or white supremacist group. I'm sorry, but thousands of years of these white men enslaving black and brown people, you're gonna get outsmarted. They're gonna steal money from you. I know gangs that will steal money from you if you try to do a hit or assassination attempt, and they'll take the money for themselves because you're dumb thinking they'll do anything for you. Why would they take this money and actually snitch on their white race? They took it and then profited off it and then bought themselves some nice M249s and long guns so they could snipe people from a distance. I promise you, these people are not smart enough to fight against the white supremacists who are infiltrating the first world military and attacking people. I promise you, they're not prepared for that sort of operation.
Most prominent civil rights organizations, now the Southern Poverty Law Center.
The National Alliance affiliate, a million plus. To Aryan Nations affiliate, 300,000. To Unite the Right member, 270,000. 140,000 to former National Alliance chairman. To former KKK members, $73,000. And $19,000 to National President of American Front, a convicted felon. I got shot at by a fucking Nazi, and I got hunted to my clinic where I was getting healthcare from, where a white supremacist literally stalked me there to attack me and get blackmail on me. These guys got more money openly being fascist, supporting child marriage, supporting a rape, and supporting a president who's convicted of rape, and then continue to discriminate against Islam, discriminate against Latinos and black people, and they got over $3 million for this. They got paid $3 million plus to humiliate themselves so they can make money proving that what? What'd they do? Except for ruin civil rights movements and add ammo to the right wing, proving that the right wing is more intelligent than the civil rights group, because now the right wing extremists that the Republicans always use as a throw under the bus, they always do this. They say, we're not racist Republicans, we arrest Nazis and racists, we fought those in World War II. But then if you look at what they're doing, it's the same thing Nazis did to create the Aryan race. What they do is they got rid of the ugly people, the incels, the mentally ill people, and killed them off. And then they kept all the people with jobs and degrees at the top who are smart enough to lie to you when they say they're anti-immigration, not anti-black or anti-Latino. You're just the one pushing that narrative. So they'll flip everything and reverse it. They always do this. I met many of them that do this. You try to expose them for white supremacy, they say you're the real racist. They'll use talking points that a lot of leftists and liberals do and say Latinos are the real racists because they know how to hide and camouflage. They know the left is very insecure.
Facing an 11-count federal indictment, accused of funneling millions to the extremist groups that they claim to be fighting. It's very ironic for an organization which has labeled others as hate groups and put out a report criticizing Turning Point USA and Charlie Kirk several months before he was killed. Last year, Fox News contributor and GW University law professor Jonathan Turley joins us now. Jonathan, I was shocked to learn all of this. It's very strange. They oppose these groups, yet they're giving money to them. Why would they do that?
Yeah, Ainsley, you're absolutely right about that. The irony is also that it was the center that sought to seize assets from groups like the KKK. Now the U.S. government is trying to, through forfeiture, seize the assets of the center. And what the center is saying is that we did have confidential informants. They sound a lot like the FBI. They said, you know, we ran all of these confidential informants and they gave us evidence and we passed that evidence along to state and federal law enforcement. It's very rare to see a non-law enforcement organization conduct these types of clandestine operations. They're even accused of using some of these paid individuals to remove material from these headquarters. One of the things that I thought was striking about the indictment is that some of these extreme groups could conceivably sue the center for the removal of that type of material and for trespass.
Right. Yeah, we're showing examples. That first one, the 1 million to National Alliance affiliate neo-Nazi group. This is alleging that they paid $1 million to someone to break into their facilities and steal boxes of their documents. Another example is Charlottesville. The Southern Poverty Law Center accused of secretly paying an informant with donor funds. Donors are paying for this, who helped plan the 2017 Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville. This informant, Jonathan, allegedly attended the rally, helped coordinate transportation for attendees, and was paid $270,000 between 2015 and 2023. So instead of dismantling it, they were helping.
I'm curious to see how much they funded for civil rights protests. I'm so curious because I always see these organizations make millions of dollars in fundraising, but if they're just funneling it to white supremacists or just this fake idea that they're just catching them all, I'm really curious to see what they're doing.
To finance it. Here is the acting Attorney General Todd Blanche on with Laura last night.
That this investigation was opened during the Biden administration and then mysteriously closed. I really don't have any information about why it was closed. And then we started again last year, the FBI did, working with the U.S. Attorney in Alabama. And it's extraordinarily egregious. You just talked about it, but imagine a donor to the SPLC if they were told, by the way, we're going to give the money you're giving us to the Ku Klux Klan. Okay? Like, in some cases, over $1 million.
So why was the case mysteriously closed, Jonathan?
Yeah, Ainsley, I thought that was the most interesting part of the interview as well. You know, this center has been controversial for years. In addition to criticizing Turning Point after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, the center has also targeted groups like Focus on the Family because of their religious views and what they've said about LGBT values. So the group itself has sort of drifted from its original and legendary purpose in litigating against segregation and things of that kind. It has become a more blatantly political organization, in my view. So that termination by the Biden administration was not surprising in the political sense, but it is concerning. Now, having said that, this is going to be a challenge for the administration. There are significant constitutional issues here. You know, the center is saying, look, we said we were going to attack these organizations. We did. We didn't go through our means that we were going to use, but donors knew that we were doing this by any means necessary. There's going to be serious free speech associational challenges that are raised. But as you note, Ansley, this is just an astonishing system that they created that looks like a mini FBI.
Yeah, it's such an inside job. It reminds me of that show that I watched where the girl was being bullied at school and online, and it turns out it was her mom the whole time, and you're just flabbergasted at the end. You're like, I wasn't expecting this, and who could do that to someone that they love? But many are wondering, is this to create havoc? Is this just to say?
Yeah, a lot of these groups will lie to you on whose side they're on. A lot of these civil rights groups are not as nice as you think they are, because a lot of them don't actually know what they're doing. You need to remember they're just doing a job that pays them because they don't want to work in a cashier. They don't want to work in a warehouse. They don't want to They don't want to go back to the level of which they're thrown out to, which is the lowest level of society. So you got to be careful with that. A lot of people will call you up on the phone. I went through a lynch mob. The lynch mob goes through the phone a lot because a lot of them like to hide their identity like cowards. They hate to face the person because they're a coward. They remember that. A lot of these people hide themselves. Just like she said, it was her own mother bullying her child. You will have that too. They'll go after your family. They'll make you insult your family or attack your family and then pretend like they don't know them or they don't know you. A lot of these people use hardcore KKK tactics. The people you think are there to help you are the ones that'll be there to damn you. I promise you that. When you show proof that you've been lynch mobbed, they'll instead took that proof and then say that you were never lynch mobbed, you're just a suspect. They'll turn the victim to the suspect. Now look at this. You got the victimized people of color now looking like a suspect. Right? I had this happen to me. Realistically, this organization might have done good for people. Might have. I don't know. I have to look into it. Judging they're getting busted right now. But something tells me that a lot of other groups that aren't associated with this exact scandal are now going to get less funding or seen as a less credible site because a lot of racist people are going to finally go, we finally got something against people of color. They're all funding the KKK and white supremacist groups just to attack themselves and get more victimhood currency out of it. You got to be careful with that because I analyze a lot of this identity that these people have is they want to be the victimized white man. They want to be the one that is getting all the funding and resources, so when they get all that victimhood currency too, they can double down and have the Federal Reserve of victimhood and currency, saying there's anti-white rhetoric, and at the same time they're saving the black and brown people with a white savior complex. It's an old school white supremacy mindset that they know everything, they have everything under control, and the people of color are coming here to destabilize it, and are even with their accreditation, they got their accreditation through a handout through DEI. They're going to make sure you sound like an inferior race. They're going to make sure you look silly. They're going to make sure you look like you're lesser than everyone else. So be careful because they're going to put this on a pedestal. This is their identity politics. This makes them look better. This makes them hate black and brown people more efficiently because now they can say you're scammed or you're a scammer. Be careful of the left too because they're the ones who are getting the blame, but they're the ones who get infiltrated easily. I had a bunch of group of people that I swore they were leftists, but they got infiltrated so much with people of white supremacy that they couldn't even tell one another apart. They ended up siding with the white supremacists. Their talking points are weak, their understanding's weak. They go to the highest bidder, the person who has the most clout or money or resource, and then they just run for them, run to them for support. And they use their naivety in order to cripple them. This is why a lot of the people on the left have a lot of dirt on them, but then they run around hiding it, and until they get exposed on a big fraud scheme, a big scandal. That's why you have a lot of white supremacists looking for any little thing they can in order to make you look like a humiliated person, to make you look like a lesser, subhuman, because their identity is to make sure you look as bad as possible, make you look like you're humiliating yourself. They'll have you crying on the ground, screaming at them. They did that to me. They threatened to kill me. They put guns to my head. They put a knife to me, and then they said, "Where's your proof, boy?" You gotta remember that. I was threatened to be slaughtered and said if you did not humiliate yourself, and you see this in the hood, it happens all the time. They'll have people humiliate themselves and then they'll shoot them dead or they'll leave them to be left like that because they have the footage of you crying, you're duct taped up or you're on the ground crawling trying to defend yourself. They won't show the other side of the camera. They won't show the hidden part or the before part before the camera went on, where they threatened to shoot you dead, where they threatened to follow you to your house, follow you to your neighborhood, leak information to have you lynch mobbed and killed, try to take advantage of your insecurities or your therapy sessions in order to use your PTSD or your trauma with white supremacists, and then they say you're outlandish, you're crazy. They'll report any little thing you said and pretend it's a crime, and then they'll get nowhere with it, no convictions, no anything, but they'll still use it as a lynch mob. They'll say you're doing fraud. They'll say you're lying. They'll say where's your evidence? And then they'll show nothing but a traumatized person of color because this is another excuse to attack people of color. I promise you this. Now it sounds like I'm anti-democrat, but I am not. I am just aware that you have Jim Crow Joe, which is someone from the era that votes against black people, that got elected president, and then a convicted rapist got elected after. The mentality of the voter base in America is white supremacist. We have a white supremacist government. If you think you're on the right side of history because the government has your back, I promise you, you are not. Every time they tried to say I had the government on my back, they said I was privileged because of my skin color. They said I was privileged because I was brown, that I had currency and victimhood. I got attacked, I got assaulted, and I got raped, sexually assaulted. Not a single case, not a single court date. Just had a bunch of white men with Oakleys on, recording me, laughing at me, telling me I'm an inferior species, or saying the special words. They factored it out. in order to trigger me and attack me, have me threatened over and over again. I had police drive slowly past me while mag dogging me. No one cares about that. They say it's all in your head, you're crazy, because they'll do anything they can to make you look like your word means less. They'll diminish your word. God forbid you speak out. I spoke out. Everyone told me to shut up. I spoke out against the people who oppressed me. They ended up siding with a bunch of leftists and liberals. Why? Because the leftist liberals are like this situation right here. They're getting played so easily by these white supremacists. They're taking their money, they're taking everything from the left, and the left is too stupid and simple in order to defend themselves. They are naive. They barely got education. They barely got the idea of what equality is. Some of them swear to God that Martin Luther King Jr. got crucified on the cross instead of a white Jesus, and then all of them suddenly think racism died with him. They don't know what they are doing. This is proof of that. This is proof white supremacists can hide themselves in leftist groups and completely dismantle them. But instead they twist this and then turn it into an agenda that black and brown people are now, Sieg heiling. We're Sieg heiling everywhere. That's how naive these people are. One day, I promise you, because I had to sneak into a white supremacist group, that you have to say slurs as if you killed someone. The slur itself is like a murder because the purity circles in the left allow you to get currency with the right-wing white supremacists by saying slurs. That's how pure they've made their currency. And then they get played off that currency to assume everyone's a white supremacist. And I promise you, some of these people might have just been some regular people that just wanted to scam people. A regular scammer. They probably made their group of white supremacy just to scam more money, a 501(c)(3) and they're just going to take more money. They're going to use their name as a way to vouch for themselves and get more money out of it. Wild, ain't it? This should be proof leftists are being played by white supremacists, and they're not Latinos. They're not the people you think they are. It's a lot of a diversity in that KKK group, but I promise you it ain't people like me. You gotta be aware of this because the KKK will humiliate you and put guns to your head. They'll put knives to your throat. They'll threaten to kill you. And everyone will think that's normal. That you humiliated yourself by not killing them or bombing their neighborhoods because they're so barbaric and brutal. They think slaughtering people and raping them is the solution to them raping you and killing you or attempting to kill you. Fraudsters everywhere. Bunch of cowards on the left, too scared to speak out because if they speak out, they're scared they're gonna run into some sophisticated Nazi incel that is gonna break down your brain because they spent all day reading psychology instead of getting some pussy. And then suddenly you're just a subhuman in their eyes because they played with you like a puppet. End up sleeping with several of your members, making you look goofy, making you look silly the whole time. Meanwhile, your group's now saying they used to have an ex that was a white supremacist, they're conservative. And now your whole group's infiltrated with white supremacy, and not a single damn one of you's a revolutionary.
Trump's administration is so out of control. There's this fight and there's that fight, and there's so much hatred. They're being accused of hiding the payments from donors and from banks using shell accounts or fictitious entities with names like Fox Photography. But this is a statement from the acting CEO or the interim CEO. Taking on violent hate and extremist groups is among the most dangerous work there is, and we believe it is also among the most important work we do. The actions by the DOJ will not shake our resolve to fight for justice and ensure the promise of the civil rights movement becomes a reality for all. Jonathan, thank you. We'll see where this goes.
Right. Thank you.
Be sure to like.
All right, that's the end of the video. But again, they're SPLC over there acting like a vigilante group. They clearly don't have enough busts happening to justify this. $3 million and not a single bust or arrest or to show receipts that we actually caught this many people. They got played. They all got played. I promise you they came back to the KKK and said black people were giving them money and let's scam them. That was a honeypot and they took the honey, they took everything and left nothing behind. I promise you that. All they got was a bunch of Latinos and brown and black people to blame instead. And they called that victory because they caught a bunch of Uncle Toms, a bunch of people funding a bunch of white supremacist groups, and they think they won. They got played. They got played hook, line, and sinker. They took every $3 million they took. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.